There's more philosophy on jiu-jitsu mats than in any Ivy League school in America. This is a quote attributed to Renzo Gracie, and anyone who has trained jiu-jitsu for a long time can tell you there are so many things that you learn on the mat that translate perfectly into your real life. And I'm not talking about defending yourself on the street and techniques transferring from the mat to self-defense. I'm talking about life lessons and things you can take away from training to improve your life. Jiu-jitsu teaches you way more than arm bars and guard passes, and I'm gonna go through a list of 5 of my favorite jiu-jitsu life lessons. A bonus life lesson that you should have already learned from me is that if you look good, you feel good, and if you feel good, your jiu-jitsu will be good too. And the best way to look good, feel good, and have good jiu-jitsu is to take 15% off at epicrollbjj.com with the code podcast15. Gis, rash guards, t-shirts, shorts, joggers, hats, hoodies. Epic Roll has everything you need to look and train your best when you're on the mat, and everything you need to look your best off the mat as well. Don't spend more money on gear that wasn't designed specifically for jiu-jitsu. Epic Roll was made by grapplers for grapplers, and it's the highest quality stuff you can get. But that doesn't mean it's going to be overpriced and break the bank. You can get affordable yet high quality gear at epicrollbjj.com, and you can take a further 15% off with the code podcast15. Follow Epic Roll on Instagram at epicrollbjj, and make sure you tag them when you're wearing your new stuff. epicrollbjj.com, coupon code podcast15. Now let's let jiu-jitsu be our life coach. You might think that your black belt instructor is great at jiu-jitsu. They probably are. You might think that they have a lot to teach you. They probably do. You might really like them, and I hope that you do. You might think that they are inherently a good person. You can hope so, but it's very important to remember a black belt in jiu-jitsu is not a black belt in being a good person. I have been very lucky in my own jiu-jitsu life to have known and trained with a lot of black belts and to have gotten to know them off the mat as well as on it, and they've all been great people and people I'd be happy to call my friends. But humans have this tendency towards hero worship. We think because someone is accomplished in one area of life, that means they are overall a good person, and it's unfortunately not that simple. How many times have you heard about a celebrity being a jerk to someone, and everyone is then collectively shocked that the person who plays their favorite character isn't a nice person? There's even a popular adage, don't meet your heroes. Unfortunately, there have been a number of instances in recent memory where black belts in jiu-jitsu have been real scumbags. And it always seems to be a shock to people that someone who is a black belt in jiu-jitsu can behave in that way. Just try to take this lesson from jiu-jitsu. Just because you admire someone's success in one thing does not mean they are immune to criticism or that they are a good person. Let's remember that not just with black belts, but with everybody else in the world too. We've all heard the phrase, don't judge a book by its cover, but I think jiu-jitsu really shows you why this is true. You look at a guy like Mikey Musumeci, he looks like an accountant who'd be really into the cones of Dunshire. When you train jiu-jitsu, you will see nerdy hipster guys who weigh 120 pounds who are killing everybody. And you'll see massive heavyweights who are rolling over their shoulder and doing barambolos. When someone walks in the door to train, you literally have no idea how good they will be just based on appearance. You should remember this in the, try to stay alive respect, like in a self-defense situation. You never truly know who the person trying to fight you in public is, or what they know or don't know, or what they have on them or don't have on them. But you should also remember this just from like a human being in society perspective. Just because someone looks one way doesn't mean that they are the type of person that you think they are. I like to think that I'm a good example of this. If people didn't know that my old job used to be getting locked in a cage and trying to murder a stranger with my bare hands, I'd hope they'd never assume that about me. Hopefully they would just think I'm a nice person and a regular guy who doesn't enjoy trying to strangle his friends in a padded room a few times a week. People who look like killers usually aren't, and people who look like nerds are sometimes killers. Unless your name is Gordon Ryan, there is always going to be someone in the world who is better than you at jiu-jitsu. Even Gordon Ryan might have some competition, but I'll save that thought for my ADCC preview show, which is coming out soon, so stay tuned for that. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you don't miss it. But it's not just jiu-jitsu. Literally everything you do, from hobbies to work, there will always be someone who does it better. There's like 8 billion people in the world, which, by the way, is way too many. Stanford University says we should have about 2 billion people in an ideal world, so I don't know what's gonna happen to the other 8 billion of you. But back to my point, there are just too many people in the world for you to be the absolute best at any one thing. It's just mathematically, it can't make sense. But that doesn't mean you should stop trying or give up and feel bad about the fact that at any time, Gordon Ryan could walk into your academy and demolish you if he so chooses. I mean, that would be pretty cool. He could do it. It's unlikely to happen, but it could. In fact, I actually like the idea that you will always be chasing someone. It gives an extra bit of motivation to know that there is someone out there at all times that could beat you. If you can take that information and you can push yourself with it, it's a good thing. We've all gone to train, had good sparring rounds, and then gotten absolutely clobbered by somebody. It's humbling to know that there's always a bigger fish in the pond and all that. But you keep at it, you keep training, you keep trying to improve. What other parts of your life could you apply this same thought process to? Here's a life lesson we all hope that all white belts will learn sooner rather than later. Freaking out and being wild is not an appropriate response to the position you are in. Whether it's something in your real life or you are stuck in bottom side control, spazzing out is not only not helpful, it will make the situation actively worse. In the side control situation, you're just gassing yourself out and possibly kneeing and elbowing your opponent in the face. So now you're extra tired and underneath a person who you've just made really angry. In life, has there ever been an emergent situation that was made better by you freaking out and going ballistic? I will say with confidence that I don't think so. Jiu-jitsu should teach you to stay calm even in the most awful circumstances. If you can be calm when your professor has your back and is doing their best to choke you, then you can remain calm when you get pulled over and get a speeding ticket. If you can remain calm under the heavyweight's knee on belly, then you can remain calm in an emergency. If this section of the life lessons seems like it's new information to you, then you should probably apologize to the rest of your teammates for being a spaz and reassess your approach to rolling. When you first start jiu-jitsu, you suck at it. That's just how it is. If you show me someone who starts jiu-jitsu and doesn't suck at the beginning, you're just showing me BJ Penn. But outside of that, everyone is bad at jiu-jitsu the first day. But even when you get smashed over and over and over, you still keep training and it slowly gets better. Surviving gets incrementally easier. Some people can't handle this. Some people's ego is too big to lose every day and they quit jiu-jitsu before it ever gets good and they get better in a way that makes it fun. This is directly comparable to life. Sometimes things suck and they seem like they will always suck, but they get better. They will always get better. You won't always be the one getting smashed. You won't always be the one tapping every 30 seconds. Eventually, you'll learn how to survive and you will even start being the one doing some of the smashing. You just have to hang in there and keep powering through and know that eventually it will get better and you will get better. Sometimes you're beaten. Sometimes the only thing to do is tap and live to fight another day. Reset, start again with a new approach, hope for a better result. There's a thing called the sunk cost fallacy. Basically, it's the human tendency to follow through on something if you've invested time or money into it, whether or not the cost outweighs the benefit. This cartoon sums it up pretty well. You've already spent money on movie tickets, but the movie is awful. You stay watching the movie because it would seem like a waste of money to leave because you already bought the tickets. Sometimes in life, you just need to know when you're beaten and you've gone as far as you can and should just restart. In jiu-jitsu, you might spend 3 minutes attempting to pass someone's guard. You finally pass, but they end up catching you in something. You could think, I spent so long working to get the pass, I can't tap now. But what is the point in that? You need to know when you're beaten sometimes And that's the beautiful thing about jiu-jitsu. You can show up and train and get tapped 100 times. Each of those 100 times knowing that if you didn't tap, you'd get seriously hurt or put to sleep. But you can always tap, start over, and try again. Admitting you've been beaten at or by something is fine, so long as you regroup, start again, and try to have a better outcome than you did last time. Just don't tap and walk off the mat and out the door because you had a bad round, and don't do that with things in your real life either. Jiu-Jitsu teaches us so much more than grappling, and I hope you enjoyed this look at my favorite life lessons. ADCC is coming up shortly, so I have a lot of content coming out about that, so please stay tuned and make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Also, make sure you sign up for the newsletter. I put that link below in the description. You can get semi-daily emails from me with quick thoughts and breaking news and things that I think will help your jiu-jitsu, stuff like that. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next one.